One hand goes up. 3 seconds later, a World Cup defense completely collapses. Harry Kane raises his hand. That's it. That's the whole trigger. 10 yards away, a teammate reads the signal and starts moving before the corner is even in the air. Why does one raised hand unravel an entire defensive structure? Because it was never really about the corner. It was about the 6 weeks before it. Go back to a press conference before the tournament even started. Thomas Tuchel stood in front of the cameras and said something that sounded almost mundane. We also have specialists with us for all different kinds of scenarios, for when we are leading games and chasing them. We always said that we wanted to be a strong set-piece team. Nobody flinched. Set pieces are the unglamorous corner of football analysis, the part fans skip past to get to the highlight reel. But Tuchel wasn't talking about a gimmick. He was describing a system. Sitting beside him in spirit, if not in the room, were two names most casual fans had never heard: Anthony Barry and Paul Quilter. Set play coaches, men who spend their working lives on stoppage clocks and blindside runs. Harry Kane, who had worked with both of them at Chelsea, explained exactly what they were building. "We want to build a book of set plays," Kane said, "so we can go into the tournament where there is not a lot of time to practice. You want to have an NFL-like playbook, in a way, where you look at the opposition and see if they are zonal. An NFL-like playbook. Think about what that phrase actually means. In American football, a team doesn't run one play off one formation. It runs dozens, all disguised to look identical in the first 2 seconds, so the defense can't diagnose the threat until it's too late. That's what England built. Not one corner routine, a library of them. And the key that unlocks which page to use is a single piece of intelligence. Is the opponent defending zonally or man-to-man? Here's the part T. That gets lost in most match commentary. Zonal marking means defenders guard space. Man marking means defenders guard a specific opponent's body. Most teams use some blend of both, and England's coaching staff studies exactly where that blend sits before a ball is ever kicked. Picture a corner against a defense using 6 zonal markers, a player standing ready to close down a short pass, one more stationed for the rebound, and 2 players assigned to specific England attackers. That's 11 bodies with 11 different jobs, and England only needs to break one link in that chain. Watch what happens next. 2 England players who are not the primary targets step in front of the man markers assigned to the real targets. They're not going for the ball. They're providing a screen, legally standing exactly where a marker needs to run, so that marker either gets blocked or has to foul to get through. One more piece, the timing. The screening runs don't start when the ball is kicked. They start the instant Declan Rice raises his hand. By the time the marker realizes what's happening, the screen is already set, and the real threat is already breaking free toward the far post. Now here's the twist that separates a good set-piece unit from a great one. Against a defense that stacks zonal markers instead of man markers, that same screening idea doesn't work, because there's no individual marker to block. So England flips the page. A blindside run instead. One attacker times his movement to come from behind the last zonal defender's peripheral vision, arriving late enough that the defender is still occupied by tracking the flight of the cross, not the runner sneaking in behind him. Same hand signal, same starting shape, completely different mechanism underneath. That's the disguise. That's the playbook. Rewind to March, and a World Cup qualifier against Serbia. Same principles, same personnel, same blindside timing. A live rehearsal for exactly the scenario England knew they'd face in North America. This wasn't improvisation under tournament pressure. It was a system already tested, already logged, already filed into the book Kane described months earlier. Fast forward to July 11th, 2026. Miami Gardens. A World Cup quarterfinal against Norway, a team built around the individual brilliance of Erling Haaland rather than defensive structure. The scoreline read 2-1 to England after extra time. Both goals came from Jude Bellingham. 2 goals from the same player in one knockout match. The kind of individual moment that dominates the back pages the next morning. But ask yourself a harder question. Why was Bellingham getting those chances in the first place? Because a knockout tie against a stubborn opponent rarely gets settled by open play brilliance alone. It gets settled by whoever has more rehearsed answers when the game tightens up. Tuchel's team had spent months building exactly that kind of answer. When 90 minutes weren't enough and legs started to tire, it was structure, not improvisation, that gave England the platform to keep creating. Here's the psychological layer underneath all of this. Because a coaching staff that walks into a tournament with an NFL-style playbook isn't just planning for corners. They're managing fatigue. Extra time in a World Cup quarterfinal is chaos. Players are exhausted, decision-making degrades, and open play creativity is often the first thing to disappear. A rehearsed set piece doesn't care how tired your legs are. The routine doesn't ask a player to invent something new in the 111th minute. It asks him to run the same 6-yard path he's practiced 100 times in training. That's not magic. That's muscle memory replacing judgment when judgment is running on empty. There's a broader tactical truth hiding in that Serbia qualifier and that Miami quarterfinal both, and it's this. Modern elite football has quietly turned set pieces from an afterthought into a competitive arms race. Teams now employ specialist coaches purely for restarts. They build video databases cataloging every opponent's marking scheme. They rehearse blindside runs and screening blocks with the same seriousness as an open play pressing trigger. The clubs and countries who still treat corners as a coin flip are giving away free goals to the ones who don't. Consider the stat behind the theory. Across recent tournament cycles, dead ball situations have accounted for a rising share of all knockout stage goals, precisely because open play against a well-drilled opponent produces fewer clean chances the deeper a tournament goes. Coaches know this. That's why Kane didn't call it a set-piece routine. He called it a playbook, deliberately borrowing language from a sport built entirely around scripted deception. So think back to that raised hand. It isn't a spontaneous gesture. It's the visible tip of an enormous amount of invisible preparation, months of video study, a specialist coaching staff, a categorized library of variations, and a qualifier back in the spring used as a dress rehearsal for exactly this kind of knockout tension. Jude Bellingham's name will be the one printed in the World Cup record books next to that 2-1 scoreline. But the real authorship belongs to the version of England that existed long before Miami, the one quietly building a playbook nobody was paying attention to. And maybe that's the truth this game keeps teaching on the pitch and off it. The moment that looks spontaneous, the flash of brilliance everyone remembers, is almost never actually spontaneous. It's the visible output of preparation nobody saw. Whatever pressure you're walking into next, a presentation, a negotiation, a moment where everyone's watching and the clock is running out, the composure people admire in the room is rarely improvised either. It's a raised hand, a signal only you and your training understand. Everything else is just the crowd finally noticing what you built when nobody was watching. That's the real game-winning move. It happened months before kickoff.